Ladies and gentlemen, in the aftermath of the debate, which is really all I care about, is what is the effect of the debate between the vice presidents and did it help Trump? First of all, yes, it did. Big conclusion. Welcome to John Mike Keene. We're going to look at the debate in a new way. I just want to show you, I zoomed the camera in on this edit of just Tim Walz's face so you can see how badly he floundered.
Honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic.
There is no doubt in my mind, however Governor Walz did in terms of sincerity, that Vance won this debate.
That's Geraldo Rivera declaring JD Vance the winner because Tim Walz came off as nervous.
Does Governor Walz have a problem with the truth? No.
Frustrated and scared. But this to me is one of the key moments. As you guys know, I'm real big on First Amendment, real big on free speech. When they said that Trump was a danger and denying the election, here's JD Vance's masterful response. And again, I'm putting the camera on Tim Walz so you can see how horrified he looks.
I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology companies silencing their fellow citizens. And it's Kamala Harris saying that rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years, in the last 40 years. Now, I'm really proud, especially given that I was raised by two lifelong blue-collar Democrats, to have the endorsement of Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong leaders in the Democratic coalition. And of course, they don't agree with me and Donald Trump on every issue. We don't have to agree on every issue, but we're united behind a basic American First Amendment principle that we ought to debate our differences. We ought to argue about them. We ought to try to persuade our fellow Americans. Kamala Harris is engaged in censorship at an industrial scale. She did it during COVID. She's done it over a number of other issues. And that to me is a much bigger threat to democracy than what Donald Trump said when he said that protesters should peacefully protest on January the 6th.
He's looking down and scowling, but when he does look up, he looks absolutely terrified. Now, here's the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, all of the big players trying to spin this thing because they're terrified. But here's the excuses they give to poor Tim Walz.
But at the beginning, the two issues driving the campaign right now are Harris has a big deficit on the economy. Harris has a big deficit on immigration. And Republicans were happy tonight and Democrats a little bit nervous that on those two issues, Vance carried it.
JD Vance is much more experienced at this, at public speaking, at defending himself, at pivoting.
That's part of the fallout, but no fallout was quite as freaky as the MSNBC. This is just a complete freak out.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. Mm-hmm. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just, this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
She can't even put her thoughts together. There's so much audacity. And on that happy note, this should put a big smile on your face. This tells you everything you need to know about how this debate went. They're telling you Tim Walz lost, JD Vance won, and that means Trump won over Kamala Harris. I'm John Mike Keene.